Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. FantasyGuru.com show here this morning on a Friday. I got to tell you, I really screwed up today. I did not send the link to our man Russell Clay of FantasyGuru.com, so he will not know what we are talking about. He will not know, more importantly, where to sign up. So let me do that right now. So we're scrambling a little bit here, as we are wont to do on the show live, but we're rocking and rolling. I'm Ray Flowers. You can follow me on social medias at the Ray Flowers. Thanks for joining me today. You can join us every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday here on the show. I'm with you 4 days a week. On Wednesdays, I'm over with Jeff Mans. Why am I not here? Because I'm with Jeff Mans. Yeah, Jeff Mans needs some help sometimes. You can't just talk 3 hours a day by himself. Monday through Friday from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Elite Sports Show is over on SiriusXM. Again, I'm with Jeff there on the Wednesdays. So from those times of 2 to 5. The other days of the week, I'm here with you. So we go about 12 to 1, about an hour each day on this free show here. Then we have an hour break, and then Jeff's show for 3 hours. As we've discussed with many of the guests this week, we also have live streams on Tuesday nights for seasonal. We have a live stream on Friday night for DFS. We have a live stream on Sunday morning as well for DFS. We got a lot of things going on at the website. And I mentioned that because we've been talking about the deals we got over at FantasyGuru.com. It's gotten even better. We dropped the price yet again. Rest of the season, DFS, seasonal, wagering. All three packages, one price. NFL, college football, both of them, one price. So the rest of the way, you get all the rankings, all the articles, all the projections, all the Discord rooms, all the live streams, all the podcasts we do, all of it for one low price, all of the football product, no matter what it is, DFS, seasonal, wagering, $99. Let's go. Send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com. Send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com. And you can, get rocking and rolling. If you need help in one area or another, if you want to try an area that you haven't tried before, if maybe you want to just add on to what you're already doing, you're having a lot of fun this year, whether you're having tremendous success or just moderate success, you want to add something, check us out. Send that email to support at FantasyGuru.com. And remember, all the college NFL football, so both, for the seasonal aspect of things, the wagering aspect and DFS aspect, $99. Pretty good deal over at FantasyGuru.com. Again, I'm Ray Flowers. Social media is at the Ray Flowers, here with you 4 days a week. In Discord all the time over at FantasyGuru.com. Also should mention, because what the hell, why not? We got a lot of things going on over at FG. We also have the MVP plan, which you can see on the screen there. Yes, see on the screen. For those of you that don't know, we do have this show live and on demand visually too. So you can either go to your favorite place to listen to podcasts and type in Fantasy Sports Daily. Go to FantasyGuru.com. Click on the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. Either one of those will allow you to listen to the show in a podcast. But if you want to watch the show live, if you want to watch the show on demand, if you want to leave comments live that we can address throughout the show, 3 spots. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, and Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. Those are the places you can get the show. Now, in terms of the website, again, we talked about the great deal we've got for the football project. We also have the MVP plan right now, which is basically everything we do besides football and baseball. So you want to get involved in basketball, we got you covered. What about hockey? Yep. NASCAR, PGA, MMA, horse racing, golf. Did I say that already? I don't know. Everything that we do. We used to even do camel racing. Now, that was during COVID. We don't do that anymore. But everything we do, primarily MMA, PGA, MMA, NASCAR, hockey, and basketball. So check that out in the MVP plan over at FantasyGuru.com. What are we doing on the show today? Well, let's throw it up there on the screen. Here it is. Talk a little Thursday night football. Yeah, that was fun. Not really. Certainly not from a fantasy perspective, but we'll talk a little bit about the Thursday night game between the Broncos and the Raiders. We'll talk a little bit about my Coffin corner piece. So there's some numbers in there that hopefully everyone that subscribes to FantasyGuru.com enjoys the article. Kind of some numbers that make you go, that's a song or something, right? Make you think a little bit. And so we use that as a starting off point to have some discussion about some of the players that are listed in that article. You can see the link there on the page, or you can just go to FantasyGuru.com. It should be on the homepage right now. And then in about 25 minutes, it's a Friday. So Russell Clay, who I did send the link, so he now knows how to sign up for the show. Russell Clay will join us hopefully in about 25 minutes. Russell Jonas to talk Dynasty football. We got a lot of things to talk about. What are we doing with Kyler Murray in Dynasty? Well, we'll ask Russell that. What about Rico Dowdle? He's been fantastic this season. He's actually in the Coffin corner piece that we'll talk about. But he's a free agent. What does his future look like? How do you handle him in Dynasty? What about guys like Tory Horton and Mathew Golden? What about injured players like Ricky Pearsall and Brandon Aiyuk? Puka Nacua, Brian Thomas. What's going on with Odunze? Hot start, slow finish. Troy Franklin who's ascending. We'll talk to Russ about all those guys here moving forward in a little bit, about 4 minutes from now, if we're on schedule. All right, Thursday Night Football. Broncos moved to 8-2. They win a home game against a Raiders team that they should have beat. The Raiders fall to 2-7. This game was 10-7. Like, ugh. And we talked on Wednesday about this game a little bit because we discussed kind of the situation with the backfield of the Broncos and the quarterback play of the Broncos. And I basically said on the show, which I said, I just don't trust Bo Nix. I know the numbers say QB1 and everything like that, but it's just inconsistency has kind of plagued him. We saw that again last night. We'll get to that in a second. But let's start off with the Raiders side of things here. Gosh, the Raiders are just bad. Now, the Denver Broncos are a good football team, a very good defense, even without Pat Surtain. Right? So, okay. But this was just, Raiders had a bye week, and this is what they came out. It's just Geno Smith is not good. He's had a couple of nice games, but the majority of the time he's struggling to throw for 200 yards. He's struggling to throw for more than one touchdown pass. He hurt his quad last night. We'll see if it has to be Kenny Pickett next time out or not. Probably going to be Geno Smith, but we'll obviously follow that injured storyline. 143 yards, no touchdowns, and interception. And, again, it's a tough matchup on the road against a good defense. But you got to be better than this. Like, the Raiders just stink. And we all understand why they moved on from Jacoby Myers. Like, we get that. But losing that weapon in the offense is significant. It's just a significant situation. And they don't have people to step forward in that to fill that vacuum. They just don't have it. Right. And that's, no way around that. Let's talk a little bit about what they did do last night, though. What they did do last night was Tyler Lockett, who we talked about on the show on Wednesday. Jeff and I talked about. Jeff also talked about him a bunch of times on the Thursday show on Sirius XM yesterday prior to the game, and said, look, head coach, quarterback, wide receiver, been together for a long time. Now they're back reunited on a new team. They got rid of Jacoby Myers. We know that Besh and Horton are two youngsters that the team is kind of, has hopes for, but right now. So what does this look like? You pull up the snap count of the Raiders. Trey Tucker played 60 snaps. Horton played 37. Lockett only played 34, and Besh only played 14. So Besh was barely on the field. Dante Horton was basically running sprints, right? Trying to get his cardio in. So it was really Tucker and Lockett that saw the work. Tucker had the most snaps, 60 to 34 over Lockett. So almost doubled. He had 3 targets. So Trey Tucker is the number one receiver for this team. It's evident in the routes run. It's evident in the snaps. A couple of catches. Now, we saw a much better game from Tyler Lockett. I know there was a bet on Tyler Lockett. The guys were talking about multiple bets on Tyler Lockett. He caught 5 balls for 44 yards. And I either said it on this show or on that show. I'm trying to remember where I said it. They all kind of run together. But Lockett, that's top-end Lockett. 5 catches for 44 yards. I think I said 4 or 5 catches for 45 yards. I think I just threw it randomly out there. And that's basically what he did. Could he do that on a consistent basis? Yeah. The problem is the 4.4 non-PPR points and the 9.4 PPR points that Lockett produced last night were the best marks of the season. And again, I know it was on the Titans, but this is all we got here in this offense from him. I'd be very surprised if there's another level for him. There are a lot of guys, as we talk about all the time here on the show, where you can pick them up off the waiver wire and get you 8 to 11 points at a wide receiver spot. I think Lockett's in that mix. So it is intriguing that he did lead the team in targets, catches, and yards last night. More disturbing, obviously, is the situation with Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, who returns, has double-digit catches, scores 3 touchdowns. What happens last night? Vanishes from the offense. 3 targets, 1 catch. Good defenses will shut down, or try at least, to shut down your number one weapon. Okay, but you still got to you got to throw the ball. If you're the Raiders and you want to win a football game, you got to throw the ball to him. You've got to find a way to make it happen. You lose a game 10-7 and you throw 3 targets to Brock Bowers, fail. That's a fail on the coaching staff. Fail. I mean, and you look at Brock Bowers. Let's pull Brock Bowers up here. You look at Brock Bowers, and he had that massive game. And the majority of time this season, he has caught at least 4 or 5 passes in every game. But if you look at his recent production, taking out the game last week where he had 12 catches, 3 touchdowns, 4 of his last 5 games. Well, let's include the game. 4 of his last 5 games, including that huge game, he hasn't got the 50 yards. That's the only game last week that he scored a touchdown all season. So he's got one game in 6 where he's gotten in the end zone, and 4 of his 5 games he hasn't got the 50 yards. And this is not an offense where they want to be spreading the ball around. This is not an offense where they have a ton of weapons. This is a scenario that we should be seeing what we see with a team like the Rams. It's a very narrow pyramid, right? So Brock Bowers, I mean, again, coaching staff failure, quarterback failure. You're not going to win games throwing the ball to him 3 times, period. Doesn't matter who the matchup is. Doesn't matter how many guys they got. It could be triple covering him. You're not going to win games throwing the ball 3 times to Brock Bowers. On the ground, Ashton Jeanty was fine. He got in the end zone. Didn't do anything. That's kind of become his MO, not really doing anything, hoping to get in the end zone because the offensive line and the offense just can't sustain drives, and Genty's doing his best. And then, again, he got in the end zone. And that's, I think, 6 touchdowns in 6 games for Jeanty. So, he's still in play every single week. He's still a top 15 running back every single week. It's just not as sexy or exciting as we hoped it would be when the season began. Going to the Denver side of things, let's talk about this situation with Denver. Bo Nix did not play a good football game. He did throw 2 picks. One of the 2 picks, we've all seen it. Probably watched it on replay multiple times. Troy Franklin had the ball bounce off his hands for an interception. That's not Nix's fault. Nix had 5 carries for -2 yards. He had 148 yards of offense. Not good. And this game played out as badly as it could for the Broncos, but they still won, which I guess at the end of the day is all that matters. But on a fantasy perspective, this really just was a terrible effort all the way around. The backfield, and again, there was a lot of people asking RJ Harvey questions. I don't know how many people listened to what we said on this show, what Jeff Manza said on the Sirius XM show, because I got the sense that everyone was playing RJ Harvey just because. RJ Harvey didn't do anything last night. If RJ Harvey doesn't get in the end zone, he's not doing anything. Okay? Everyone seems to be, he's either failing to run for 10 yards or failing to receive for 10 yards like every game. This is really touchdown or bust with RJ Harvey. So last night he had 6 touches. That's normal for him. That's the zone he's in. Now, unfortunately, it was for 18 yards? 18 yards. So, there are people that think that, and I've got this question we talked about on the show here, that, Dobbins is losing the starting job to RJ Harvey. It's not happening. Last night, Dobbins yet again led the backfield in touches, led the backfield in snaps. 18 carries for 77 yards, also had a reception. The problem for Harvey is he's doing the same thing every week. It's 15 carries for 64 yards every week. But he's not getting in the end zone every week, and he's not catching passes. He had 1 reception last week. So though he's been very effective and well on his way to a 1,000-yard rushing season for Dobbins, just barely making do here because he's just not getting in the end zone frequently enough. Harvey's been getting in the end zone, as we're all aware, the 5 touchdowns in 3 games heading into last night. But he played under 20 snaps yet again last night. Again, he touched the ball less than 10 times. Again, he's just a guy that's really touchdown dependent. And as everyone has said, I heard Bob Harris saying it on the show last night before the game on Sirius XM. You can only run from the dragon for so long before the dragon catches you. Bob didn't say that, but the bottom line is you can only chase touchdowns so long before the bottom falls out on that. In terms of the receivers here, Franklin, I see a comment on Franklin here. Both of my opponents had Franklin, so that was exciting for me. Franklin had a decent-ish 5 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown. It's a fine game. It was the best game of any receiver on either team. Obviously, the touchdown was important here from his first fantasy perspective. But you look at this, and it's like, sorry, I just noticed a spelling error that I had here. Let me make a note about that. I'm forgetting all kinds of things today. Forgot to invite Russell Clay. Probably forgot my own name. Pat Bryant. Here we go. Where's the T? My keyboard's got a problem with T's. There it is. Okay. Fixed. The last 4 games, and I don't really know what's going on here. Obviously, there's a connection going back a long time between Nix and Franklin. But the last 4 games, Franklin has 37 targets. Sutton only has 26. Okay. And everyone's excited about Franklin, and he's surging. He scored a touchdown in 4 straight games. Okay. That's great. Same time, don't overlook the fact that Franklin has failed to catch half his targets the last 4 games. He's under 50% catch rate. That's horrible. That number should be at least 60%. Really should be much higher than that, but it should be at least 60. It's under 50%. So he's getting a ton of volume. He's not doing anything with it. I mean, we're routinely seeing him. Even last night, he got in the end zone. He's not getting to 50 yards on a consistent basis. This offense is just not supporting guys on a consistent basis as pass catchers. Sutton is still the number one in my opinion. Franklin is still the number two in my opinion. But this offense they spread the ball around. They don't do things a lot of the time, such as last night. It's getting tougher and tougher to trust these guys in a fantasy perspective, even though, again, Franklin has scored 4 times in 4 games, and Sutton headed into the last night as a top 20 receiver. Just a little bit inconsistent. And Godfrey, you're right. I'll take that for my third receiver. Sure, you will. If it's 5 catches for 40 yards and no touchdowns, that's not good. If it's 540 and 1, you'll take it for sure. And that's the problem with Franklin. He's had a couple of really big games. But the majority of the time, it's 3 or 4 catches for 38 yards. Like, he's really been living off the touchdowns, much like RJ Harvey. 66 pace setter said Sean Payton offense is tough for fantasy PPR. I started Sutton, very frustrating. Do you think I should deal Sutton? Well, what are you going to get for him? Buy low, sell high. Are we selling high here? Or are we selling low here? So, I mean, no. Especially after a game where it was on national TV, there's just no way you can sell Sutton right now and get anything remotely resembling what, again, heading into last night, he was a top 20 wide receiver in PPR. I think he was top 15 heading into last night. So, there's been plenty of times you could trade Sutton. Now is not the time to trade Sutton at a down point after a game on national TV where the offense really didn't do anything. By the way, Evan Ingram caught 4 passes like in 5 straight games. He's now had 2 catches in 2 games. I go, pace setter is right about Sean Payton, his offense. I don't really know what's going on. We talk about this a lot. Is Sean Payton trying to prove to everyone he's smarter than everyone else? I don't know. But this seems really simple in theory, and it gets jumbled up week to week. So very disappointing results there, but at least they won the football game. Just not a lot of positivity coming out of the game for either team, really, from a fantasy perspective. We're about 12, 13 minutes away from talking some Dynasty football with Russell Clay. Let's move on to the article that you can see linked there. If you aren't watching and you're listening, you can find the description below, the link to the article. My Coffin Corner piece. And every week, my Coffin Corner piece, I basically try to point out some numbers that pop, that stand out, that make you think about who players are or aren't. And I think it's important to do that because I think if I said to people, hey, in a PPR setup, Courtland Sutton is a top 15 wide receiver. If I said that heading into last night, who's going to believe that? Nobody. Oh, but guess what? If you look at the numbers, yeah, right? Okay. So I try to do stuff like that, point things out. I'm just checking the news to see if anything's really popped. Check this out. So a lot of times in this article, I put numbers and then I describe what the number is. So here's the number 1. What does the number 1 signify in this Coffin Corner piece? This comes out every Friday at fantasyguru.com. Remember, send an email to support@fantasyguru.com. $99 for the rest of the season package. You can get this article as well as all the other articles I and the rest of the staff do. 1. That's the number of interceptions that Justin Fields has thrown since last season. Let that sink in for a second. Bo Nix, again, one of them wasn't his fault last night. Bo Nix threw 2 picks last night. Justin Fields has 1 interception in 328 passes. 1. By the way, as of right now, I still don't think the Jets have named him the starter this week officially, even though he has only thrown 1 interception in 328 passes. Even though the last time the Jets played, he led the Jets to over 500 yards of offense, but their head coach won't name him the starter. I don't understand this. Makes no sense to me. It's pure insanity. By the way, since the start of last season, and there's problems with Justin Fields. There's issues with Justin Fields. I'm not saying he's a superstar. I'm not, but I'm just talking facts. The way you lose football games is turning the ball over. He's got 1 interception in 328 passes. He also has 10 passing scores and 8 rushing scores. So that's 18 touchdowns to 1 interception. Everyone thinks that Matthew Stafford's the greatest quarterback of all time. What's he at? 22-2 or something like that this year, touchdowns, interception. Fields is 18 touchdowns to 1 pick. I don't know. I don't know. Speaking of the Jets, by the way, they added Adonai Mitchell, who we talked about earlier this week. Head coach Aaron Glenn said it's unclear whether Mitchell will play this week or not. Looks like Garrett Wilson's going to return to action for the Jets. Great news. Adonai Mitchell may not have enough time to get up to speed. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get out there. But again, the Jets won't name a starting quarterback for a guy that has 18 touchdowns to 1 interception. So I guess you never know. 4.1 is the next number. 4.1. That's the yards per carry mark this season of Jaylen Warren. Now, Jaylen Warren has finally done something this year that he's struggled to do for the entirety of his career, and that has become the lead running back of the Steelers. Everyone's wanted it to happen for years. It's happening this year. And, it's been okay, right? Let's look at where's his rank through 9 weeks. In a traditional PPR setup, Jaylen Warren is running back 20 heading into week number 10. Okay, cool. That's fine. But 4.1 is his yards per carry mark. The league average is 4.4. So he's not even league average. The last 2 years, he's averaged 5.3 and 4.3 yards. So he's below the league average this year in the yards per carry mark. He's below his last 2-year average in the yards per carry mark. He's had only one game this season, one single game, where he's had 5 rushing yards per carry, and only 3 times in 7 games. 3 times in 7 games, 43% of the time, has Jaylen Warren averaged 3.5 yards a carry. The league average is 4.4. So while Jaylen Warren has been frequently touching the ball 15 to 20 times, catching a couple passes each week, randomly scoring a touchdown, and producing enough to be a top 20 running back in a PPR setup, it's really been all about volume with him. And it's not been consistent. It's not been impressive. It's been yeoman-like. And again, Dobbins, who we're talking about earlier, J.K. Dobbins is running back 18. They're kind of the same guy, right? It's like, boy, they're getting you 9, 10 points. If they get in the end zone, you're happy. If they don't, you're like, oh, okay. Interesting, right? Jaylen gets the opportunity to get the work, but his production takes a dip. This often happens with running backs in particular. Everyone wants the backup to take over. The backup takes over, and guess what? Their production falls as well. The next number is 4.5. Here's a guy whose production has fallen. Here's a guy whose performance has gotten so bad that we're obviously not starting him at this point, but there are people that are dumping him. I'm getting questions from people, do I drop this guy? I'm getting questions from other people saying this guy has been dropped, do I even add him? That's how bad things have gotten for the Titans, Tony Pollard. 4.5 is the yards per touch mark of Tony Pollard, and we all know he stinks. Interestingly enough, the last 2 years, Tony Pollard has averaged 4.4 yards a touch and 4.3 yards a touch. So this season, he's actually been better on a per touch basis than he was either of the last 2 years. And both of the last 2 years, he went over 1,300 scrimmage yards. Does he really stink? Even with all the crap around him, even with all the uncertainty around him, even with an offense that is just deplorable right now, his production on a per touch basis is a 3-year high. Pretty interesting, right? Now, this offense is just dismal. I think the word for the Titans offense, dismal, may not even be strong enough. It's just pathetic. Dismal. No, let's go with dismal. It's a good word. It's dismal. And I'm not saying that Tony Pollard should be started. I'm not saying you should be excited if you have Tony Pollard. If Tony Pollard in my league was on the waiver wire, I would probably pick him up. Because it's just like, I can't leave a starting running back like that on the waiver wire. They're on a bye this week though, so I get it. So, it's a very case by case thing, but just putting it out there. Remember, his production slightly better than it's been the last 2 years on a per touch basis. The next number is 5. Now, 5 happens to be the number of touchdowns that Tory Horton, who we'll talk about in a few minutes with Russell Clay, 5 happens to be the number of touchdowns scored this season on 13 receptions for Tory Horton as a rookie. It also happens to be the number of receiving touchdowns in the rookie season of Zay Flowers. Great name. Since that time, however, Zay Flowers has played 25 games and only scored 5 touchdowns. So in 25 games, Zay Flowers has the same amount of touchdowns as rookie Tory Horton has on 13 catches. Zay Flowers is clearly the number 1 receiver for the Ravens. He's the only receiver on that team that is worth anything. We all know that. He frequently catches 5, 6, 7 passes, frequently gets 60, 70, 80 yards, but there's no touchdown upside at all here. At all. Which is shocking considering how good Lamar Jackson is and how great his numbers are as a passer. Lamar Jackson through 9 games has the highest QB rating of all time for qualified quarterbacks. Zay Flowers, totally usable. He'll get you those 13, 14 PPR points a week, but he's just not getting in the end zone. And that's obviously, as we talked about with Troy Franklin earlier, that's where you really make your hay in the fantasy space. The next number is 5.2. And again, this is a whole series of article numbers. I do this every week, trying to put players in a little bit better context. It's the Coffin Corner piece, comes up Friday mornings, always goes up right before the show on Friday morning. So you can go over to FG right now, find the article. It's fantasyguru.com/coffin-corner-2025-week-10. Yeah, go to fantasyguru.com and just check out the article. It should be on the homepage. 5.2 is the next number. That's the receptions per game of Wan'Dale Robinson this season. Now, that's slightly below the 5.5 mark he had last year, but it's 5.2 catches a game. Totally works. Now, the problem for Wan'Dale Robinson is that it's all underneath stuff, right? He's had a couple of huge games, including a 140-plus yard game. But realize that even though he's averaging 60 yards a game this season as a pass catcher, so he's averaging 560, getting you those 11 PPR points a week, which is fine as a wide receiver 3. He had a game of 142 yards. So how many times has he actually hit 60 yards this season? Now remember, 60 yards is average per game this year, 60. He's hit that number of 60 1, 2, 3 times. We think of Wan'Dale Robinson, he's going to do the same thing every week. He's going to catch 5 or 6 balls for 50 yards, and okay. And he's... But 60 yards, which is average, he's hit 3 times. So it has not been consistent. Only the 30 games he's played has he been average in that category. The 142-yard game against Dallas greatly skewing the overall numbers for Wan'Dale Robinson. Next number is 34. 34 is the catch total of Romeo Doubs. 34 also happens to be the catch total of Marquise Brown. You know who else has 34 catches? Emeka Egbuka. So think about this. Romeo Doubs, the best receiver on the Packers, who you play as a wide receiver 3 most weeks, has the same reception total as Marquise Brown, who is probably on waiver wires in the league because obviously Rashee Rice has come back and Brown's role in the offense is vanishing. Emeka Egbuka is looked at by some people as a wide receiver 1. And then there's an injury in here too, but he only has the same amount of catches as Marquise Brown. Interesting, right? Now, again, there's yardage, there's touchdowns, there's role in the offense, there's the future. I'm not saying that Marquise Brown is the same as Egbuka. I'm not saying Dobbs is the same. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you that halfway through the season, Brown, Dobbs, and Egbuka all have the same amount of catches, which is pretty interesting. The final number is a big one, 652. That's the rushing yard total of Rico Dowdle this season for the Panthers. The last 5 games. 652 yards in 5 games. Yeah, that's way over 100 yards a game. Yeah, we know that. That's an average actually of 130 yards a game on the ground. Last season when Saquon Barkley ran for 2,000 yards, he ran for 125 yards a game. So Rico Dowdle's on a better pace the last 5 games than Saquon Barkley was last year, and Saquon Barkley ran for 2,000 yards. That's how amazing Rico Dowdle has been the last 5 games. Now think about this. The seasonal average leader on the ground is James Cook at 108 yards a game. Again, the last 5 weeks, Rico Dowdle's at 130. Only 4 backs have run for 652 yards. Rico Dowdle's mark in 5 games. Only 4 other running backs have hit 652 rushing yards all season, and this is in 8 or 9 games. Those 4 backs are obviously Cook, Javonte Williams, and Jonathan Taylor. Shocking. Let me look at this. I just realized I left that. I had to have left the name out. I said 4 and then I listed 3 names. Let's pull this up. Rushing yards this season. James Cook, J.K. Dobbins, Rico Dowdle. Yeah, J.K. Dobbins was the other back that I left out. J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins makes a repeat appearance here on the Coffin Corner. But how amazing is that? In 5 weeks, he is one of 5 players, Rico Dowdle, to run for 652 yards this season, and he's done it in 5 weeks. Pretty darn impressive there for the runner of the Panthers. And by the way, we're expecting him this week. His thigh is a little bit of an issue. We'll continue to follow that storyline over at fantasyguru.com. And we'll also talk to our guest, Russell Clay, about Rico Dowdle, who will be a free agent, who is having this great season. How do we handle him in the Dynasty scenario? We'll talk to Russ about the Dynasty scenario for a bunch of players, guys that are hurt, guys that are young, guys that are old, guys that are free agents here in a moment. Russ joins us every Friday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, and he jumps on and talks to us for about a half hour or so. We answer a couple of questions. We have some laughs. We have a good time. Russ can be found all the time in Discord at fantasyguru.com. He updates the Dynasty rankings every Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. He's often on the Tuesday night live stream over at fantasyguru.com. Remember, send an email to support@fantasyguru.com. $99 for the rest of the season for everything we have for football, NFL, and college, seasonal, DFS, wagering, all of it. Check that out over at the site. And you can also find Russ on Sunday nights with Justin Fensterman on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio from 6 to 9 Eastern as they chop it up talking game action on Sunday. So let's bring him in. Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. How you doing, Russ?
What's going on, Ray? Good morning.
Morning.
Well, afternoon, evening, morning.
Yeah, but you never know, right? Yeah. I mentioned here on the show, sorry for sending you the link late. I started the show and realized, oh my God, I hadn't sent you the link for the show. So I had to vamp the first 3 minutes of the show as I was sending it to you. So I'm glad you made it.
You know, Ray, worst comes to worst, I just hack into the system and find a way. I just jump in through the comment section, right?
Oh, you could, Ray, where are you?
Help me!
How's the Sunday night show going? That's a lot of fun, right? That's 3 hours. You guys talk over the game action, follow what's happening live, do a review of the earlier stuff. You and Justin having a good time over there on SiriusXM?
Yeah, super fun. It's you know, we love football here, so I just enjoy watching the games, and it'd probably be something I'd be doing on my own, staring at my TV, yelling at the TV. So at least I get to yell at the TV with Fensty and a few cool guys there that are the producers. So yeah, it's a fun time. Grateful for the opportunity.
And Armando Marsal's been coming on as a guest pretty frequently too, right? We see him here every Tuesday.
Armando and Tyler, and yeah, it's pretty much a good representation of our Tuesday live stream and a lot of the content we have on the site.
You are a Dynasty guy, of course. That's not all you do. I always make sure to say that so people don't pigeonhole you as you only do Dynasty. But you are a Dynasty guy over at fantasyguru.com, and I wanted to take a look, as we do frequently, kind of like
they can pigeonhole me. I'm in. Let's do it.
All you do is that one thing. That's it. Let's talk about some of the outlooks of these guys from a Dynasty perspective here. And let's start out with Troy Franklin, who, again, came through last night, had another touchdown. He's scored in 4 straight games. He's starting to become the lead in target share for this team. Who is he long-term? Is this a guy that if you've got yippee-ki-yay? Is this a guy if you've got maybe we consider trading? Is this the high watermark? What are your thoughts here with Troy Franklin?
Love what I've seen in year 2. He was someone I liked out of Oregon. The problem is, Ray, 6'3", 180. Is that going to be our guy? And I'm saying this somewhat jokingly, but also somewhat not.
Right.
How many 6'3", 180-pound receivers have become, true featured weapons in the NFL? Maybe he puts on weight, and maybe he does become that Cortland Sutton replacement. The question for me is the future connection with Bo Nix on this roster right now? Are they going to bring someone in? Is it Pat Bryant? Is it Franklin? We know Sutton is shifting on to age 30 plus, so it's probably not going to be him. I would lean that the future star for Bo Nix is probably not on this roster right now, unless it's a RJ Harvey. But yeah, I mean, if you have Franklin in Dynasty, you got him super cheap. He was not a high pick in the draft, and you're probably pumped right now. So I'm not going to rain on that parade. I would just say, if you see him making these catches right now, just be happy with that. Don't think, okay, he's the future one. Like, just be happy with what you're getting now. That's kind of how I would look at it.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Eric, by the way, asking a question in the comments about Cortland Sutton. We talked about him earlier on the show, Eric. So just rewind things. I gave my thoughts during the game, and then we actually answered a question about trading him too. Rome Odunze is the next guy I want to ask you about. Season begins with Rome Odunze, and he kind of has a start to the season like Troy Franklin's had the last month, right? Like it was a really good start, all kinds of excitement. He's now the number one for this team. Last handful of weeks, so it's in seasons go like this. A lot of people think everyone just catches 7 passes for 70 yards every week. There's not many on Ross St. Brown's. Where is Rome Odunze? Hot start here of late. Is this about quarterback play? Is this about, Olamide Zacchaeus has got the same amount of catches as he does, I think. Like, this is kind of weird, isn't it?
So let's do some context here. Through 8 games, Rome Odunze already has more touchdowns than he had last year, right? And he had 734 yards last year. He's on pace for about 20% more targets than last year, and he's on pace for around 1,000 yards. Because he had 5 touchdowns in the first 4 games, it makes these last 4 feel really crappy, right? Like that's what's happening. We asserted him, and everyone who liked Rome Odunze, myself, we're like, all right, let's go. This is it. We're locked in, and this has not been fun. And you know what wasn't fun, Ray? Telling everyone to start Rome Odunze last week, having the Bears put up 47 points and him getting no yards.
He played 80 snaps. He played the whole game.
I got to say, that is I have not seen that. Yeah. That's pretty unheard of for something like that to happen. And the one target he got in the end zone was just a horribly thrown pass by Caleb.
Right.
I don't think anything's actually wrong. I just think he had those touchdowns early in the year, and we all got used to, this is what he does. He did have one called back a few weeks ago, and now I think he's fine, but maybe I got a little ahead of myself after the early season run. So I'm still very high on him. I love the offense. And I saw a comment down there. Angelo says Nix is the problem. But kind of like a theme with a lot of these young guys, Ray. The Bears are 5-3. They look pretty good. Right. Caleb's up and down, but they're winning. And Bo Nix, they're 8-2, Ray. He can't be playing that bad, right? It's not fun for fantasy every week, but can't be playing that bad if they're 8-2.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. We've talked about Brian Thomas before. Buy low? Are we in? Or is this just you're not. You're not even doing that if the price is right.
Okay. Everything about us for Dynasty, right? We see a first round pick, a guy who's been great before. All of this says buy.
Right.
And I just am out. I just don't want to. Not that that's a bad move, but for me, with what I've seen this year, I don't think this is getting better this year, Ray. I don't know what your thoughts are on Brian Thomas at this point, but it doesn't seem like it's getting better.
It doesn't. And they brought in Myers, which helps the team, and they're talking about signing him long term. And they've got Hunter. Are they going to make Hunter a defensive player? Maybe that's the long term. Is it really there? Is something really going on with Brian Thomas? Like Trevor Lawrence, hit on his mom. I don't know. Right?
You know what? If something like that came out in 10 years, right, it wouldn't shock me at all. Yeah.
Right. I can't really tell someone not to buy low. The price has to determine what buy low is, but I can't say I'm in.
It hasn't been it's a totally different guy than last year.
Yeah.
The one we saw. So I don't know why, but that's just what we're seeing. And at a certain point, my dynasty brain says, ignore the results right now and just buy. But sometimes I don't want to do, sometimes I watch the games and I don't want to do that. So
it's one thing to give 100% effort and not have it work when you're alligator arming balls and not going over. I get what you're saying. Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Puka Nacua, fantastic player. Now we got multiple things going on here. Number one, Matthew Stafford's getting up there. Any hit could be his last. He could retire at the end of the season, and for all the people that have picked on Matthew Stafford over the years, Matthew Stafford knows how to make his number one receiver get 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. Okay, so he knows how to do that. A lot of quarterbacks have no idea how to do that. That's the point number one. Who is going to be his quarterback in a couple of years? Point number two, Puka himself has said, I'm not going to play till I'm 35. So there's a shorter end there toward his dynasty outlook too. And then the third thing for me, and we've seen it already happen a couple of times this year, he plays rugged football. He's in high contact areas and he's always hurt. I mean, he is always hurt. He's already had 2 separate injuries this year. He's already missed game action this year. It happened. Is now the time to get out? Is he just so good that who cares? You just deal with it. Like, how do you view him? Because obviously, if you trade Puka Nacua, this is not a Brian Thomas scenario. If you trade Puka Nacua, you're getting a haul back.
I would just say for anyone who is under the age of 30, just go to Sports Reference right now and go look up Anquan Boldin's career. And what you'll see is an amazing rookie season, an amazing third season, and a long career with some 1,000-yard years. And Ray, I know you were obviously around.
I was around for Feldman. Yep.
There were years where we were all like, holy crap, is this guy like a top 3 receiver in the league?
Sure. Yeah.
And then he would get hurt because he's playing like like it's I don't know. I don't even know. But he's just throwing himself into defenders, and you're like, there's no, even though he is the toughest guy on the field, there's no way you can do this. Right. And that's how I feel about Puka. He's amazing. I just, you're not doing the Reggie Wayne thing till you're 33 playing like this. So yeah.
Would you trade him or hold him if you had to? I mean, again, what's your?
I'd hold.
Matters, but you would hold
because you just ride it till the wheels come off, and it is what it is. And if it's 3 years, fine. But I mean, when he's in, he's getting 25, 30 points a game. So I'll take it for now and just ride it out.
It's nice to have your wide receiver one be a quarterback on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Aiyuk. What are we doing here? Because these constantly we get the questions of trying to trade for injured players. It's never ending, and especially in a dynasty scenario. I do remind people that Brandon Aiyuk, according to some reports, was supposed to be back like in week 5, then it was week 6, then it was week 7, then it was week 10. Now we're hearing he's probably going to play this year. Not every player that has surgery comes back at 100%. In fact, many don't. Okay. This is a significant knee injury that Brandon Aiyuk had. It wasn't a tiny little thing. He tore multiple ligaments. Ricky Pearsall, we were joking, and I mentioned this on the show, got shot and missed less games than he missed with his hurt knee.
Yeah.
Who are these two guys? Because in theory, we want to buy both because the owner of either one of them is going to be pissed off. But what are we doing with these two guys? It's been a long time since we've seen them on the football field.
It's also been a long time since I took my Ricky Pearsall victory lap week 1 when he had the 100-yard game, Ray. That feels like forever ago. Yeah. Do we need to do some ceremony or ritual at the 49ers, at their field or something? What is going on with them, Ray? It's been like this forever. They got to stop, man. They have so many good players that are just on IR all the time. I don't understand. Do we have to do a seance, Ray, or some type of?
Well, the Niners didn't. They refuted that this year by not putting Pearsall and Purdy on the IR when they should have. So they tried to avoid the. So they're doing their own little voodoo thing. Which we just had Halloween. Maybe we should do a Halloween celebration every year at the altar of the Niners and burn a calf or something. I don't know.
Day of the Dead for the 49ers here. I mean, in theory, Pearsall and Aiyuk should be an amazing combination. Where both guys can get 1,000 yards every year. I mean, it's 2 years in and Pearsall's barely played at all. That's not a good sign. I don't care who you are. If you go back and look at all the wide receiver careers, guys that just don't play much early on, you fall behind with the organization. You fall behind with everything. And even if you're super talented, they start to move on here. So, I know this is off topic, but like Jonathan Brooks, right? Jonathan Brooks, 2nd round pick a few years ago. All of a sudden, Chuba plays well. Brooks gets hurt again. They bring in Rico Dowdle. And now I'm looking at next year like, oh, there's no way Jonathan Brooks, right? I mean, the way Rico Dowdle's playing, there's no way Jonathan Brooks is going to come in and be the starter next year. So with these guys, it's just tough. I think Aiyuk's in the Caribbean hanging out, drinking a margarita right now. I don't think he's too worried. He got paid. So I don't even know if he's on the 49ers next year, but I don't really enjoy having any of these guys on my team.
Ethan makes a comment, and Jeff Mann says this all the time on the Sirius XM show, that the Niners are dishonest with their health. I don't know many teams that are honest with their health. I mean, to be fair, the injury reporting in the NFL is atrocious, despite there being literally billions of dollars in gambling. And I don't know why the league, perfect example, the league said that the Ravens fudged on the health of Lamar Jackson. They lied. They fined him $100,000. That's like fining Russ and RI $6. We don't get a hot dog for lunch. The NFL doesn't care. The Niners, think, get a lot of heat for this, and it's earned. But Russ, they all do this. They all lie.
They all lie. And we are at the will of these teams for fantasy and sports betting. And here's the thing. It's kind of like, when banks talk about they just account for losses throughout the year of like, we know we're getting frauded. We know they're getting in, right? Like we know they are having people redeem the gift cards and getting their money. We know that's happening. But if we can get it right most of the time, and they're not going to lie all the time, but that's why we got to watch the games, Ray. Yep. One this week, Ray, you have Packers in your background. I watched the Packers game last week. I know Christian Watson got a concussion. I watched it happen. I saw it happen. He had to go off the field.
Yep.
He was knocked out on the field. I saw it.
His arms went up too, right?
And nothing.
Yep.
I saw someone asking about it. It's a ghost town.
You mentioned in your article, your trending article at the start of the week. Yeah, you're right.
It's a ghost town. There's no there. He's fine. They're saying he mispracticed with it. I'm like, what? So I guess we're pretending that didn't happen. So I don't know. But what I can tell you is most of the time, a lot of these reporters do have sources inside the building. So we do have to rely on them. Just be aware. We see this in other sports as well, mostly in like boxing and MMA. Is it the agent that this person is talking to, or is it the team? And that's where you really kind of find out what's going on.
Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com joins us every Friday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Tory Horton, 5 touchdowns. Tory Horton, woo, let's go. Starting to roll. Cooper Kupp gets beat up. He's not playing. Here comes Rashid Shaheed. Obviously, Shaheed and Horton are not the same player. There still is space for Horton if Kupp is down. Where are we at with Tory Horton? Is this a player that we should be excited about? Is it more about the opportunity with him? Does he own skill sets that intrigue you? Talk us through him.
I like it from a Seahawks perspective. I think having Horton and Shaheed on the outside is a great thing for Sam Darnold, especially with JSN. That's a great trio there. They're getting ready for the playoffs. They have a great team this year. So I love it. Yeah, for Horton it sucks though. I feel like everyone, if you watch those games or you had Horton on a deep dynasty team, like you got to be excited. I'm still excited.
Okay.
But it does put a damper on this year, and I don't know if they bring him back, but you'd think they'd try to bring Shaheed back if they brought him in. So not fun. Probably going to ding the upside for sure. I mean, Shaheed's going to play. He's a good player. So, yeah, it's going to ding him, unfortunately.
Mathew Golden, let's go back to the Packers. We were just talking about Watson. We've all said when they drafted Golden, we weren't really clear why they did. They can't keep these guys healthy. Golden's hurt himself now. We know that Reed still is out. Dontavian Wicks can't play. Maybe the Packers just looked at this and said, we're the Niners at the wide receiver spot, so let's just get a bunch of players out here and see what we got. Where are we at with Mathew Golden? There have been a few moments this year, but overall, He's kind of hurt now. Watson's back. Reed's going to be back soon. Where are we at with Mathew Gold? All potential or something else?
Your guess is as good as mine with these Packers receivers. I mean, Romeo Doubs has been pretty consistent. They got Dontavian Wicks in there, but they just have it's kind of similar to the Colts, where the Colts had 7 guys and then they kept drafting more. And at a certain point, you say, what are you doing?
Right.
With the Golden thing, I get it because Christian Watson's had so much issues, so many issues with staying healthy, but Golden was not making a big impact as a fantasy guy, even when healthy. More of a decoy running routes and just playing snaps more than anything. So once Jayden Reed gets back, I think he's going to be the guy there for the most part, but it's really more of a guy. The big problem is their offense just going to be worse without Tucker Kraft? You know, what do they do with Luke Musgrave? It's a big mess in Green Bay. Just run the ball, give it to Josh Jacobs, right, Ray? Just give it to Josh.
Hey, we have him on our team in Jeff Mann's league. Let's go.
Yeah.
Give it to Josh Jacobs. Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. A couple of updates quickly. Bucky Irving has been ruled out this week. Another game missed, which is not good after all this time off and a bye week. Chris Godwin's also ruled out. That's not surprising. Rico Dowdle had the quad injury, missed practice. Everyone got a little nervous. He's been removed from the injury report. He's going to play this week against the Saints. I talked about Rico Dowdle earlier. He's been stupendous the last month. Where is he in a dynasty scenario? This is a guy that really couldn't find a job this offseason. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Maybe they bring him back in Carolina, though they're paying, Chuba Hubbard $9 million a year, whatever the hell they're paying him, like to be What are we doing with Dowdle? Because he's an ascending player who's starring right now, but his future's uncertain.
I think they have to bring him back, Ray. I think he's playing too well. And if they don't, someone's going to make him their starter next year. So not really a fan of boosting up 27-year-old running backs in the dynasty lens, but I think I have to show respect at this point. I mean, maybe it's a one-year wonder. Even if it is, I gotta show respect to Rico. So I did move him up this week. We got respect for Rico. So yeah, I don't know. I've never seen this before.
Right.
I guess we had, Justin Forsett in the 2010s out of nowhere had a big year, but this is really rare to be this dominant. I mean, it's a little Arian Fostery. So I don't know. I've never really seen this before. We can't move him up too high just because he's 27 and we know how that works. But yeah, if you have him, I would not be trading him. And I would expect that someone's going to give him a chance next year too.
I kind of look at another scenario to me that's like, how the hell is Javonte Williams, who was so good before injury, came back from injury and looked like me, like couldn't break tackles, couldn't do anything. And somehow he's gotten back to who he used to be. Like that never happens when we're talking about an injury. Like, so that's another scenario. Sometimes things happen that are just strange. Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. There are a lot of quarterbacks in this league. I've said this forever. So anyone that's followed me for years, thank you. But what I'm about to say, you've heard me say since literally draft day. Kyler Murray, no. I said it from day, no. Right? I saw Patrick, what's his Patrick's first name? Jim, Frank, I can't remember Patrick, the announcer. Interviewed him, and Kyler Murray was staring into no. Like I could tell right away, he's not a leader. I don't care. I was out. And he's been fine. Wasn't drafted to be fine. Certainly isn't paid to be fine. He's paid $45 million a year. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't think he's hurt, personally. He didn't look like he got hurt in a game. There's video from him at practice last week, running around, throwing the ball. He looked fine. Now they're saying he's hurt. They're putting him on the injured list. We're getting the coach speak. Well, he's got to get healthy to help us, all this kind of stuff. Now we're seeing all the reports of how do the Cardinals get out of this contract? Can they get out of this contract? Where are we at with Kyler Murray? Because for all the good and bad, we've all said it. At the end of the season, if he plays 17 games, he's going to be quarterback 10. He's going to be quarterback 12. He's going to be usable. Where are we at with Kyler Murray? Buying opportunity now or get the hell out?
Is it still the Oakland? Is it the Oakland Athletics? Have they moved yet, Ray?
They're in Sacramento right now.
Okay.
They're not the Las Vegas Athletics. I think they're just the Athletics.
Okay.
So when you're doing things like you see teams listed Atlanta, San Francisco, it says Athletics. They don't even list a team.
Oh,
city. They don't even list Sacramento right now. It's just
all right.
Athletics.
So, Ray, if we see a trade, Arizona has traded Kyler Murray to the Oakland Athletics.
Right.
It started as a joke that I was like, he's going to play baseball, but now it's starting to get some heat here. We're starting to see some articles come out, and I think it would be the coolest thing in the world if he went and tried and actually successfully. He's a heck of an athlete.
He's
Ray.
First round pick in baseball.
I mean, I was actually watching some of his Oklahoma baseball highlights. Mm-hmm. He hit like homers. He was, I mean, he's probably not going to be an all-star, but if he ends up starting quarterback for 7 years in the NFL and then goes and actually makes it to the majors, that would be like all-time accomplishment stuff. But back to football. 7 years, you mentioned it. He's not bad.
All right.
They're letting him bow out gracefully right now. They're giving him his dignity. That's what this IR thing is. It's over. Jacoby Brissett is playing better than him right now. Undeniably, Ray. It's pretty clear from the beginning. It's kind of like Daniel Jones last year in New York. Is Daniel Jones a bad quarterback? No, but is he top 15 to 20? Well, we're going to find out this next month, Ray, because teams are starting to get film on this Colts team.
Right.
This is a huge week for them. They have to win this game, or I think it could crater. Do you want to invest 7 years of your franchise? Ray, is it better to just have a Mitch Trubisky and know in 2 to 3 years and then move on and say, okay, this isn't it? Or do you do the Daniel Jones Kyler thing where you give these guys 7 years and nothing happens?
Right.
Like you get the playoffs once with the guy and then it's over. So really rough. Set them back probably a decade. Now they're going to be rebuilding the next 2 to 3 years. So it's over in Arizona for Kyler. I imagine another team will take a shot on him, but I don't think that's a good idea. We've kind of already seen what it is, right?
He's a younger Russell Wilson now, I guess. Something like that, huh?
Pretty much, right?
Yeah, you got it. And again, not to be a heightist because I am a tall guy, and people jokingly say that.
I know.
When you're 5'9" as a quarterback, it's hard, man. Doug Flutie back in the day, the linemen were 6'1". Now the linemen are 6'6". Like it's just, you have to design your offense differently. You have to play call differently. Like it's not.
This is a real thing though, Ray. This is real. Like when you watch the game, you're like, yeah. Like you see Dylan Gabriel too. And I'm 5'8". It's like, fellas, we got to find a different, you could go play tennis, right? Just, yeah.
I love the video or the picture, of Dylan Gabriel hugging Carson Wentz after the game. And it's like, that's like me and like a 6-year-old kid, like, because Carson Wentz is 6'5", 230, right? He's normal. Huge. And Dylan Gabriel's like, hee. It's like, it ain't easy.
Mixed martial arts or something. The most famous MMA guys are 5'8", So just find your sport.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah. Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. Let's hit a couple questions up before we shut things down here, Russ. Got to start sit. We need to sit one in a PPR setup. Who are we sitting? Kenneth Walker, Kamani Vidal, or DJ Moore? To me, it's got to be DJ Moore. I know that they get him a couple carries each week, and every once in a while he throws the ball. But I'm still going with both the running backs here. What about you?
I have waved a slight white flag on Ken Walker. I'd been starting him every week. Last week was okay. I can call off the dogs a little bit here, but I'd still go Walker and Vidal here. I know Vidal had a really bad week, but I don't want to forget the previous couple games, right, where he was really good. So I would go Vidal.
Joe W's got a question about the quarterback. Lost Jaden Daniels like so many people did. Went and picked up Mariota. Good move. But then he's wavering now. He says, Michael Penix, Davis Mills, are those better starts? What are you thinking? Mariota, Penix, or Mills? Mills looked pretty good last week. He's a very competent backup quarterback. Penix, I know you like Penix an awful lot, but to me, Penix seems to be 237 yards in the touchdown. Whoopie-doo. Not that Mariota's better than that, but at least he can run a little bit. You're smiling like you don't want to do any of the three, but what if you got to do? I have Mariota in a league where I lost Jaylen Daniels. So that's a move I made.
I just feel like Davis Mills. I feel like we canceled that show 3 years ago, and they're bringing it back on the air, and they're like, "All right, coming back Sunday, the return," and you're just like, nobody's watching that. Penix, I get it. I would probably go Penix over Mariota, but it's really similar. I would probably go Penix though.
Yeah, we got a good report, by the way, on Daniels. He's not going to have surgery. So, that's great news. We don't know when Daniels is going to return to action. We're hearing, let me verify this. They'll reevaluate during their week 12 bye, so potentially could return in week 13. That's an interesting one. Like, if you had Jayden Daniels, and I struggled with this a lot, because I'm in a 14-team league where I had Jayden Daniels, and one of them I dropped them, one of them I kept them. Would you drop Jayden Daniels? Because again, if it's at week 13 at least, before we see him back, that's 10, 11, 12. It's a long time. We got to make the playoffs before we can win in the playoffs.
I'm good on Jayden this year. And maybe this is because I'm rooting for him long term. I really want him to be done this year. This team is not going anywhere. They absolutely stink. He has no weapons. He has no time in the pocket. Let's just call this year a loss and get out of here. He cannot have another injury this year. It was the knee, it was other things, and now I just watched this man have a severely dislocated shoulder or elbow on national TV. I'm done, Ray. I'm rooting for Jayden Daniels as a Jayden Daniels guy. I'm done with this year. Let's tank. Let's get some offensive linemen in there and go for next year. So I'm dropping him in fantasy because that's what I want. I don't know if that's necessarily the right move, but I'm done. I'm out. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Well, they're 3-6, right?
Yeah.
They lose their next 2 games. They're 3-8. McLaurin's hurt. McCaffrey's hurt. Deebo Samuel will probably be hurt by that time. I mean, so
yeah, Deebo Samuel's going to be heading towards in and out like me. It's just like we don't need this anymore. Yeah. Come
on. Joe has a follow-up question about Penix. Even in Germany, does that matter? What do you think about the games overseas? It's really the problem with answering this question is it's really hard to answer this question because you just don't know. Like, so I've always given the example in baseball of Barry Bonds. Everyone, when Barry Bonds was on the road, everyone was swearing, yelling, calling him a cheat the entire game. And he didn't care. He still went out and hit 300, still hit it. He didn't care because he was able to focus and play the game. Didn't matter. Other guys have things that are strange, like flying across an ocean, going to a country you've never been to, being in a new hotel, being in a new stadium. Some guys get that and it freaks them out. Like they just can't. So I don't know what kind of guy Penix is. So it's really tough to definitively say, but it doesn't impact you enough to say you're off of Penix this week because he's playing in Germany, does it?
That's my exact read. It depends on the player, how they travel, what type of fish they were eating on the flight, Ray. I mean, I'm joking, but not with travel. Some of these guys are eating food they've never eaten. And, we don't know who's sick. We don't know who's not. So we can't know. I would just play the matchup as it is. We also see with some of these games, they turn into shootouts or it's 6-3 at halftime. Right. So there's, it's so volatile. I would just play it how we would think of a regular game.
He's Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. You can find him on Twitter X at Russell J. Clay. You can find him here every Friday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. You can listen to him on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio with Justin Fensterman from 6 to 9 Eastern on Sunday nights. You can often find him on the live stream on Tuesdays, which is at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Remember, everybody, right now, head over to FG, $99 the rest of the way for all of our football coverage. So every article that Russ writes, every chat he does, every video he does, every live stream he does, every article, all of that, get a part of the all-in NFL package, $99, all the seasonal content, all the DFS content, all the betting content for football. As always, Russ, a lot of fun having you on. Thank you. Always appreciate your time on a Friday. I know you got the circus show here to do in a couple of minutes, so we'll let you run to do that, but we'll talk to you next Friday.
Awesome. Thanks, Ray.
You got it. He's Russell Clay. I'm Ray Flowers. We'll be back on Monday to do what we do every Monday, the one day of the week where it's just me as a host. I spend an hour going game by game, telling you what you need to know from all the Sunday action. So return with us on a Monday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We'd love to have you with us then. For Russ, I'm Ray. It's been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.